Sorry, this is Megha here. Which
Hi,
handout is this?
the I Spy. I Spy.
Okay, I am not sure if that I have that, but I'll just check that.
Sure, sure. No worries. If not this week, you'll get it next week. So don't worry about it. You have all
Got it.
been invited for today's session because all your children are in the same phase where we start with
Got it.
phonetic analysis. So it is almost 5:03. We have a good number of participants who've joined in. We are going to kickstart the session now. So even before we go into the nitty-gritties of phonetic analysis or I Spy, let's understand why are we giving sounds to children. Okay, what is the importance of these sounds, and why is whole complete language based in sounds? So if you look at your child right from birth, there are multiple sounds that your child can already make right at birth. Am I right? All your children made some sounds, right? The sounds of crying. And every sound meant something. So sounds have been used for communication since many, 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 many thousands and millions of years. Every creature on this planet uses sounds for communication. And we are no different from every creation on this earth. And human beings, because of their great the higher brain capacity, could not just use these sounds that nature had provided them, but human beings have created a very refined network of sounds which we call a language. Over and beyond that, the brain capacity is so vast that in the first 6 years, children are capable of absorbing up to 7 languages in just the first 6 years. So the capacity of the mind for language acquisition is super high. It's very, very high. But every language is divided into lot of smaller parts. So if we can say that language is made of sentences, sentences are made of words. Words are made of sounds. So sound is the smallest unit of language. So if we look at it mathematically, sound is the smallest unit of language. It is the measure of language, basically. Okay. Now, if you look at right from birth, your child was already making so many sounds. By the time the first birthday came, your child was able to say some very interesting sounds. Like initially, all the sounds are consonant sounds, like all a, e, u sounds. Then all consonant and vowel mixed sounds. So you get all the ba, da, ta, na at around 8, 9 months of age. Okay. And then at around first birthday is when your child actually says a word which could mean something. So he would say pani or ball or mama or papa. Correct? Now, between the first year and the second year, language further gets refined. All of this is happening without us, the adults, putting any effort. There is practically zero effort that has to be put. Yes. Hello. Yeah. There is practically zero effort that needs to be put on the part of the adult for the child to acquire this language. The sheer presence of your child's absorbent mind and the sheer presence of the child's sensitive periods in this age group between 1 and 2 makes him or her acquire all this language along with the intonation in which you speak, the hand gestures that you use, the way in which the language is spoken, the dialect, the accent, everything is absorbed holistically by the child. Now, between 2 and 3 is when the language aspect of the brain is getting stimulated, it is getting activated. This is the time that child starts understanding that, okay, languages have certain rules. For example, if I have to say, I am hungry, I have to put myself before hungry. Similarly, if I have to say the same thing in Hindi, I will say, Mujhe bhook lagi hai. Okay? But the structure from English and Hindi has now changed. This change structure, or that the fact that language has a structure, starts becoming very, very apparent for your child between 2 to 3 years of age. This is practically the time that they enter the self-interpretive environment as well. So when children come into the self-interpretive environment at around 2.5 years of age, we start with helping them understand the smallest unit of language, and that is the sounds. And I Spy is nothing but a sounds analysis or a phonetic analysis game. Just like how we started this conversation where Deepak said it's so hard for children to learn the English language because C is also K and K, like K is also K. Okay, and C can also be S, whereas S is also S sometimes. So because English is such a non-phonetic language, it is even more important that we focus on the sounds and not on the letters. All right. So when we are focusing on the sounds, let's first understand how many sounds are there in the English language. So this is my one of my favorite questions. I've asked it multiple times in sessions before. So I'm going to ask it again. How many sounds are there in the English language? Anybody can answer this except my team. Who would like to go for it? How many sounds do you think are there? Yes.
I'm taking
You've got muted, ma'am.
I'm taking a guess. So
Okay.
I'm saying 18.
18.
Yeah.
18 sounds are there in the English language. Okay. Tanav's parents says 100. You've gone way beyond, how many sounds are there. But yes, it seems like a lot of sounds. What? Any other
Yeah,
answer? Both these
I
answers are
I
incorrect. Yes, Megha.
I would say maybe beyond 50. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, beyond 50. Anybody else? One last person.
Around
For
40.
46.
Okay, so neither of these are correct, but Spandana has said the correct number. It's 44. So there are 44 sounds which make up the English language. Unfortunately, we have only 26 letters. So expecting the child to learn the sounds through the letters is not the right expectation to have, because some letters are going to take more than one sound. So we begin with these 44 sounds which are called phoneme sounds. Each of these sounds are either made of a single letter or more than one letter. For example, the sound ch, it is one sound, but it takes two letters to make that sound. So when the child begins his journey in the self-interpretive environment with sounds, we only want to bring his consciousness to the fact that every word is made up of sounds. Okay? That everything that the child talks or says or listens to is made up of these sounds. So phonetic analysis begins at around 2.5 years of age, when we start with showing a few objects. For example, I would show an object like brush. Okay, I have a brush, and I will tell this child that I have something in my hand. I spy something in my hand, which begins with the sound. Can you tell me what it is? And the child will say brush. Now, the child need not have understood the relationship between the sound b and brush, but over a period of many, many repetitions, like I would have to repeat this at least 100 times for the child to understand that, okay, when I say brush, the first sound that comes out of my mouth is b, b. All right. So this is where I Spy begins. Paulina, can you please share screen so I can take them through the first few stages? Now, the English language, like I said, is not just made of the phonetic or the phoneme sounds, but also certain sounds which take 2 letters. So those sounds are called phonograms. Okay. So phoneme sounds are like our simple t, r, s, which are very simple. Like one letter, one sound is a phoneme sound. Anything which takes 2 letters is called a phonogram. So we have th, sh, ch, e. All these are phonograms. So we first take children through all the consonants, consonant phoneme sounds, then all the vowel phoneme sounds, then all the consonant and vowel phonograms. So that is the level through which we will take children. And initially, everything happens only at the spoken level, which means your children have not been shown the letter at all. For at least 1 whole year, we do not show them the letters. We only help them identify all sounds which make up this word brush. So we begin with the first sound that, I spy something in my hand, which begins with B. Then I will move on to the next stage where I will tell the child that I spy something in my hand, which begins with B and ends with sh. Can you guess what it is? Initially, there is not much guessing because the object is right in front of them. After a little point, to make it a little more interesting and intriguing and very, very mysterious, you can hide the objects and then say, like you're hiding an object in your hand and saying, I spy something in my hand, which begins with B and ends with sh. And your child is like, okay, what can that be? Is it brash? Is it brish? Oh, it's brush. So there are so many words that your child actually has to process in his mind before he arrives at brush. Are you getting me? The analysis that we are talking about has to happen in the mind. And it is constantly happening because his consciousness has been brought to these sounds. Okay? In today's session, we are also going to take you through every letter as well as every phonogram. We are going to show you every letter in every phonogram, and we are going to say the sound. Okay? Because the way we pronounce sounds is always with an additional ah after the sound. Like we say b, we say sir, we say t, but actual sound is just that sound. It is t, s, b, k. It's just that part of the sound that has to be uttered and not k, because then it becomes k plus a. So, Miss Paulina, could you please take them through the phonetics and the phonogram sounds? Is Miss Paulina there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Munira.
You're welcome. You can start off with the sounds. Yes.
You will see that this is ah, 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 as an apple. Ah, as an ant. Ah, as an alligator. Please note that when you give the sound, do not trace, and when you're tracing, do not give the sound. This is B. B as in bat. B as in ball. S as in sweet. As in sorry. As in elephant. As in egg. Mm. As in mat. As in mummy. As in feather.
Miss Paulina, just one thing. So when you are working with your children with sandpaper letters, just remember that you are never going to sit on the opposite side of your child. See, on a Zoom call, we have no other way of showing it to you. That is the reason Miss Paulina is holding the letters out like this and tracing it. But when you sit with your child, you should have your child on your left side and the sandpaper letter or the card in front of the child, and then you show the tracing, which is very clear. It should not be unclear for the child the way you are tracing. So never ever sit on the opposite side of your child, and always sit on the dominant side. All right. Thank you. Paulina, did we lose you?
Mama, what's the password?
Okay. Yeah, I think Paulina's video or maybe the Zoom call has got stuck. So let me share about why this phonetic analysis is so important. So right from a very young age, because your child is surrounded by so many sounds, it's the human speech sounds which takes precedence over all other sounds. Okay, initially it is all the sounds that your child is hearing, but over a period of time, all the other sounds which do not form the human speech sounds, they all get dropped, and only the human speech sounds are very, very clear to the child. So when we start giving them the phonetic sounds from at around 2.5 years of age, the idea is that we make them aware of these sounds. And once they have listened to the sounds enough and are able to identify every sound in a word, now they are ready to see what a letter looks like. So when we reach the stage of sandpaper letters, which is the stage that is being shown to you right now, what happens is that now the child is getting multiple inputs. So initially the input was only auditory because we were only saying the sound and expecting the child to listen to the sounds. Now when we show the sandpaper letters, we say the sound. We also show them how to trace the letter. So what happens is that the child gets an auditory input when they listen to the sound. And when they are tracing the letter, they are also getting a muscular impression of the letter which represents that sound. So letters are basically symbols for those sounds, because sound is very abstract. It cannot be captured. Once the sound is said, it's lost. It is the letters which help in capturing sounds. They help in retaining sounds. They help in representing sounds. And that is the reason written language comes into the picture when we are doing sound analysis. So what happens with sandpaper letters? The child is getting the auditory input. Child is visually seeing the shape of the letter. We all know that at this age, they are sensorially very, very strong and they want to explore everything using all their senses. So they are getting the auditory input, they are getting the visual input, and while tracing, they are getting the muscular input of the letter and the sound. And that is the reason it is really important that all the sounds are shown to children before we move on to the phonograms. All the phonetic sounds are shown before we move on to phonetic sounds, because phonetic sounds will take 2 letters. Okay. So I'm quickly going to share a PowerPoint presentation which has all the levels that we need. Just give me one moment. This is just opening up. Give me a moment. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Yeah? All right.
Yes.
So let's move to the first stage of I Spy. Like I said, in the first stage, you will begin with using any one object that you find at home. And all you will say is that I spy something in my hand which begins with mm, mm. And what is the word? Marker. You can use any word, any object. Do not worry about whether it is a phonetic word or a non-phonetic word, because English is made up of many, many words, and not every word is going to be phonetic. So do not worry about it. Just focus on the sounds. This exercise of oral phonetic analysis or phonetic analysis that we are talking about is not done with the intention of helping the child pick up the spellings. Why are we not worrying about the spelling at this stage? Why is it that we are never going to worry about the spelling? Because in the English language, there are no rules that spellings actually follow. There are very few rules. And those rules can only be understood when all the sounds have been very clearly understood in the language. It's like we have to take them from one level to another. Like how, certain times a certain sound or certain letter has a different sound in a word. The same letter sounds very different in another word. So we do not want to confuse the child right now, and we just let him explore the language at the phonetic level. At a later stage, at around 5.5, 6 years of age, is when they will start exploring words through their spellings. Because understanding words through spellings is a very intellectual activity, and that can only happen at around 6 years of age. Right now, our focus is very sensorial. Okay. The second stage of I Spy is taking two objects. So now you have a pencil and you have a sharpener. And you tell the child, I spy something in front of me that begins with shh. And you wait. Now what happens? Your child is saying the names of both of these objects in his mind. So your child is saying pencil. Does pencil begin with sh? No, I cannot hear the sound sh when I say pencil. So let's look at the other object. Now the child says sharpener in his mind and says, does sharpener begins with sh? And he says, oh yes, the first sound in sharpener is sh. All of this analysis is happening in his mind. Okay, this is not out loud. You will not get to see all of this happening because sometimes it happens so quickly and rapidly in the child's mind. But it is happening. And this analysis is what is very, very important. The output is not important, but the fact that the child is able to analyze the words, analyze the sounds is very important. Please remember that do not give an object for which you have not given a name lesson before. For example, you put an object which the child doesn't know the name of, it will defeat the purpose of this activity. So this, again, I'm telling you, this activity is not a name lesson. This activity is not to strengthen spellings. This activity is only meant to focus on the individual sound. Okay? Then we move on to one area of your home. So now you're not taking the objects in your hand. Now you are probably in the kitchen. You open up a drawer and there's all your cutlery in there. And you say, I spy something in this drawer which begins with S. Now your child has to go through all the objects in the drawer. Look at all the names of the objects. So there is a spatula, there is a spoon, there is a knife, there is a ladle, there is a fork. There are so many objects. What begins with S is his mind telling him. His mind is processing that information. And the child may come, you may want him to say spoon, but your child may come up with spatula and he's not wrong. So children are going to really surprise you when you do it like this. But to reach stage 3 is going to take some time. You have to do stage 1 multiple times. You have to do stage 2 multiple times. And only then can you move on to stage 3. In fact, between stage 2 and stage 3, you can add few stages. Instead of 2 objects, you can take 3 objects, 4 objects, 5 objects, 6 objects. Till you're comfortable with opening up the drawer and giving him so many objects to select from. So you will base this on your child's understanding, on your child's acceptance, and your child's ability to understand and analyze language. Okay? While we are doing this complete session in English, the same rule, the same process, the same scientific understanding applies to all languages. Thankfully, Hindi and Telugu are phonetic languages, so there's not much of a worry that we have. But English is something which really needs to be focused on because of it being a non-phonetic language. So that's the third stage. The fourth stage is now identifying the last sound. So you will begin with one object and you will say, I spy something in my hand which ends with sh. Sh. Now child is thinking, brush, sh. Yeah, it ends with sh. And then child says the sound. If the child is not able to say the sound, you will say the sound. All right? The same thing applies. From one object, you take 2 objects. From 2 objects, you move on to 3 objects. And then multiple objects can be taken where you're only listening to the last sound. And you will tell your child that today we are going to listen to all the last sounds in these objects. Stage 5 is listening to the first and the last sound. So you say, I spy something in my hand which begins with B and ends with sh. Child says brush, or you may say brush. Similarly, if you have a shelf like this, then you say, I spy something on this shelf which begins with B and ends with T. And now the child is wondering, what is it over here which begins with B and ends with T? Is it a bucket? Is there a bucket here? No. Box? No. Books? It begins with B but ends with S, not T. Let me look at something else. There's basket. Begins with B and ends with T. So this, understanding has to come within your child. Okay. So since Paulina is back, Paulina, over to you. I'm going to stop share and you can take over the sounds. Miss Paulina?
Thank you, Miss Moneta, and sorry for the...
No worries at all.
Yeah. We have the next sounds. as in igloo. I as in insect. Mm. Mm. As in nose. As in November. K, k, k as in cake. K as in candle. O, o, as in octopus. Orange. L, L as in Lena. Lavanya. G, g as in guitar. Goat. Uh, as in umbrella. As in uncle. R, r, as in rose. Rekha. D, d as in David. Dog. Driver. W, w as in water. W as in window. T as in teeth. T as in tomato. Z, z as in zoom. Zip. As in box. Fox. W, w as in quick. Back. as in house. H as in hat. J, j as in jungle. J as in jug. V, v as in van. Violet. V as in vehicle. Y, y as in yesterday. Y as in yellow. K as in kite. K as in kangaroo. As in Paulina. P as in pencil.
So we have decided that we will be sharing the YouTube link because we've gone live on YouTube for this session. We will be sharing this link with all of you and with some of the parents who were not able to make it with us today. The idea is for you to be able to listen to this particular session and listen to the sounds that are being given by Miss Paulina. Our ardent request is not to show these videos to your children at all, please, because that is going to completely take away that sensorial aspect that we are trying to build in children. Okay, like there are thousands of videos available on YouTube that you can show to your child, and you can achieve this achieve the understanding of the sounds, but the sensorial aspect can never ever be met, and it will be a real compromise. So I'm really requesting that the only reason why we are okay with sharing this video with you today is for you to have it as a ready reckoner, because we can't expect you to remember all the sounds that are being spoken today. So it will be a way for you to look at the sounds, to understand them, and to replicate it for your child. We'll also be sharing another link with you where the letters are already given. If you just click on the letter, the sound, you'll be able to listen to the sound. Even that is only and only for you. It is not for your child. Please remember that. Thank you. Paulina, you're muted.
Once the child knows both the pink and the blue sandpaper letters, we then start giving the green sandpaper letters. And we ask the child, what is it that you can see? And the child says, K. And what is it that you can see? And the child says, H. And then we say, when you see K and H together, it makes a new sound. And it is ch. Ch, ch as in chair, ch as in match, ch as in teacher. What is the first sound? O. What's the next sound? O. When you see O and O together, it makes a new sound. It is oo. as in pool, school, tool, ool. And together makes I. This is I. I as in pie, tie, lie. Oh, and oh together makes ow. Ow as in ouch, out, cloud. And together makes e. E as in feel. E as in peel. Teeth.
Guys, whoever logged in with the iPhone as a name, can you please put yourself on mute? We cannot see the video every time a disturbance coming from your end. Guys, whoever logged in with iPhone, can you please put yourself on mute?
Paulina, unmute yourself and speak.
And h together make sh. And h together make sh. Sh as in sheep. Shelter. Sh as in ship. O and a together makes o. O and a together makes o. O as in boat, float, toad. And makes and makes teacher, sister, error. And makes t, t and makes t, t as in thumb, thorn, thick. And e makes a. And e makes a. A as in chain, mail, tail. Oh, and makes or. Oh, and makes or, as in corn, born, Lord. and G makes ng. And G makes ng. As in ring, jumping, song. And makes R. And makes R. R as in car, star, farmer. Oh, and U makes oi. Oh, and U makes oi. Oi as in oyster. Oi as in boy. Thank you so much. Before we have had the 4 stages of I Spy game led by Miss Monira. We will have the next 5 stages now.
I'm sharing screen, Paulina. You can take it from here. So I've completed up to stage 5.
All right, let's go to the next stage, which is stage 6. In this stage, we are going to see the middle sounds. And you can take any 2 objects or you can do it in front of an area. And you say, I spy something that starts with sh and ends with l. I spy something that starts with sh and ends with l. And the child says, shovel. Now let's hear the sounds in between sh and l. Let's hear the sounds in between sh and l. The child may give or you can tell the sounds. They don't have to be in a sequence, and the sounds would be w, v, eh, or l. This is the stage 6. Let's go to the next stage. This is stage 7, where we have to find the same middle sounds, but this time we are going to do it in a sequence. I spy something here that starts with g and ends with r. And the child may say guitar. Then we say, let's listen to all the sounds between g and r in the order we hear. And then we tell the sounds. G, what do you hear next? G, E, G, G, E, T, G, E, T, git, G, E, T, R, guitar. Yes. This is how we play the next stage.
Yeah.
And then we move to
just addition to this, Paulina. So one thing you have to understand again, say because we know the spelling as adults, we will be tempted to say g, a, e, t, a, r, as in the spelling, okay? But you will have to really listen to every sound which is making up the word. For example, if there is a word chocolate, which is the first sound you hear when I say the word chocolate? Ch, which is the next sound after chocolate, which is the next sound after ch in chocolate. O, which is the next sound after o in chocolate. It's k, which is the next sound after k. It's l, which is the next sound after l. Eh, which is the next sound after eh. It's t, and which is the next sound after t in chocolate. Nothing. We will be tempted to say e in the end, or ch is ka and her. Please, this is not the time to make any of these corrections. This is only the time to listen to all the sounds. I know that when you listen to what I'm saying, you will have a concern that what about the spellings then? I will address that before the session ends, so don't worry about it. Okay, Paulina, please go ahead.
Yes. Let's go to the next stage. In this stage, we see all the sounds in a sequence. You can play it with one in the starting, or you can take a couple of them, or you can play it in an area. I spy something here that starts with eh and ends with t. And the child says elephant. So let's see all the sounds in sequence. And then we say, what is the first sound when I say elephant? And the child says eh. What is the next sound after eh? L. What is the next sound after L and elephant? Ellie. The child understands to and tries to break it down into small little sounds, and he tells the answer. Li. E. Yes, Ellie. What is the next sound after E in elephant? L-E. Yes, it is elephant. So he will say, what is the next sound after in elephant? And okay. And then we say yes. What is the next sound after in elephant? The child again goes from the starting and says t, and then we say elephant. Yes, that's how the sounds are heard in a sequence. And again, we do not see the spelling at this point of time. And then the last stage is played without any objects. You just give a sound to the child, and the child randomly tells as many words as he remembers. We say, can you give me words with and the child may say mat, mop, camera, stamp. So these are the sounds that the child, so it can be played as a game as well. That's it.
So how many activities do you think are possible with these simple sound games that we have discussed today? What are the different possibilities? So 9 stages we have already showed you of I Spy. These are all called the I Spy because you're trying to find the sound. That is why, you know, they've been made very interesting. Also, Dr. Montessori understood the need. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. Also, Dr. Montessori understood the need for children to relate to everything from a very interesting standpoint. That is the reason, if you look at the entire Montessori curriculum, there are a lot of games which are included in the curriculum. So in math we have dot game and stamp game and zero game, and in language we have these I Spy games, because I Spy actually is, you know, the hide and seek that we played, but this is a hide and seek with language. So the 9 stages that we have you know, shown you today, you can do with your children. Along with that, you can, now you do not really need any material to do these activities. Anything that you find, any object, any real big object or miniature object, any picture can be used to play these I Spy games. You do not even need any of these things, but you can say, I'm thinking of something that we eat which begins with p and ends with g. Now child has to think, okay, what is it that we eat which begins with p and d ends with g? Okay, and you know, you end up saying pudding. So there is so much that is possible only with these I Spy games. It is like you can keep your child occupied for a whole year only with I Spy games. So with most of your children who are around 2.5, 3 years of age, you can start off with doing the I Spy activities with objects and pictures at home. Children who are little older, who are between 3.5 and 4, please go through all the stages of I Spy before you move on to sandpaper letters. See, sandpaper letters provides that additional visual input, which we do not want at the very beginning. So the more we want to focus on sounds, if you provide the sandpaper letter, it will kind of distract the child from listening to the sound, and child will be more interested in seeing the sound. So first finish all the 9 stages of I Spy, and then you can do the same thing with the sandpaper letters as well. Okay. The idea of giving you the sandpaper letters, showing you the sandpaper letters today was for you to see how the tracing happens. We always do the tracing with the 2 writing fingers, 3 writing fingers actually, but these are the 2 fingers which actually take the impression. Okay, because when they hold the pencil is guided by these 2 fingers in writing. So the writing fingers are used to do the tracing. Some of your children will receive both the right-handed sandpaper letters as well as the left-handed sandpaper letters, because it takes around 4.5 years of age for the right-handed, left-handedness to set in. So at times, at around 3.5, 4 years of age, children can be ambidextrous. And that is the reason we are giving both sets of sandpaper letters to you. And every stage, you will have to constantly remind yourself that this is not for spelling. So spellings will come when their reading begins. Because in English, there are very few rules which are followed in spelling. It is very important to understand that while we do give the spelling rules to children, they have to understand spellings mostly instinctually. They cannot understand spellings only by understanding the rule. Okay, like there are certain rules which go with I and E. Like, E cannot come after I cannot come after E in certain words. But those rules are very limited. There are words which do not follow any rule at all, like pneumonia. What is the rule in pneumonia? What is the rule in psychology? What is the rule in castle? Why is the T, poor thing, why is it silent? So it is very important to understand that spelling has to come only after children read enough. So the more they read at 5.5 years of age and beyond that, the better their spellings will be. And if you want to aid that right now, then please read a lot to your children and with your children. And start instilling the habit of reading right from a very young age. Okay, so a few parents have asked whether we are providing the sandpaper letters. So we are not providing the sandpaper effect letters, but we are providing you with the card material which has the letter printed. Now you could directly get the child to trace the printed letter, but it won't have the sandpaper effect. Or you can put glue and stick sand on it and it will be as good as sandpaper. Okay, so we will be definitely giving you the card material with the letter printed on it, which can be cut and small sandpaper letters can be made out of it. Any other question? Any other questions? Yes, we might have missed out a couple of sounds, which I'm sure when you look at them and trace them and you find them in words, you can pick it up yourself. Because there are a lot of alternate phoneme sounds, which phonogram sounds, which we have not done today. So the more you find them, you will be able to identify. So that is a little bit of homework for all of you as parents to identify those sounds. Okay. Okay, so sound and alphabet should never be given at the same time. I mean, the name of the sound and the sound of the letter should not be given at the same time. Please understand that we are only going to give the sounds when we do the sounds. You will be able to give them the letters of the English language at around 5.5, 6 years of age, not right now. Can anybody tell me where we use the letters of the names of the letters of the English language? And where is it used in sequence?
In dictionary?
In dictionary. Your child is not going to be using a dictionary right now. We are expecting your child to use a dictionary only after 6 years. So that is when we are going to introduce the letters, the names of the letters in a sequence. If you are already playing the alphabet song, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just continue doing that. Do not focus on, child knowing A, B, C, D right now. Let that just be a song where, there is no significance put on it. It's just a simple song. But the sequence, knowing that the name of this letter is A, the name of this letter is B, the name of this letter is C, will happen at around 5.5, 6 years of age. Again, that is mostly when they are beginning, when they're at the beginning stage of understanding spellings. So that is when we will be introducing it to children. All right. Any other questions that any of you may have? Please feel free to ask. We have gone a little bit beyond our scheduled time. It is 6:04, but I can be here along with the team for some more time and take up any questions that you may have. We can, leave the floor open for 5 more minutes.
Hi, Munira. Prasanna here.
Hi, Prasna. Yes.
Munira, one question. I have got twins and they are more than 3.5. They're close to 4. Now, do I have to introduce anything related to mathematics?
Not right now. Not. How old are your children right now? 3.5, you said.
Yeah, more than 3.5.
Have they touched 4?
No.
Yeah. So do not introduce math unless you receive the handouts for math. So you will receive some handouts around number odds, number cards, sandpaper figures. So only when you get that is when you can introduce math. Until then, please do not introduce it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Welcome. Anybody else? Any questions with regard to today's session? We will be making this session available on YouTube. The link will be shared to you latest by tomorrow. So if you have any questions right now, see, we could have told you about, having the link available to you. But the problem with these recorded videos is that you can't ask them questions. So this is your opportunity to actually ask questions and get them resolved. A lot of parents have asked questions in the chat box. I've tried my best to answer most of them. But if anything is unresolved for you, please go ahead and ask.
Hi, this is Usha.
Hi, Usha.
Yeah, so how can I tell him the difference between PH and F?
Yeah, don't tell him.
Okay.
So we also let children discover these things, okay? So let's say your child wants to write, whenever he reaches the stage of writing, right now, how old is he?
He's 4.5.
4.5. So he's definitely writing a little bit right now, okay?
Yeah, he's not interested in writing. That's another part. Okay.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, but when he wants to write the word phone, he will end up using the letter F. Okay,
Correct.
Phone. Now, what we use with children is the movable alphabet. So when the movable alphabet is sent to you and you encourage your child to use the movable alphabet to make the words, and your child is using those tiles to write, Phone as in phone, at that time you can say that, you have written fur, but there is another way to show the sound f. And when we write the word phone, we use that other way of showing f, which is per and her. And you can recollect, you can show the phonogram. You will have the phonogram. So you can say, see, you remember we had traced this phonogram. Even this is fur. So you can use this to write phone. Now the word phone has 2 phonograms. It has the PH phonogram as well as the O and ONE, where O is not O, but it is O.
Oh.
So that will come at a later stage. One phonogram at a time can be shown when children move into movable alphabet stage. But right now, do not worry about how will he know that, there is another sound, another 2 letters which show for, or how will he know that, especially with the I sound, E sound, bead is BEAD, but feed is FEED. So how will they know the difference? They will only know through practice. When they are practicing with the movable alphabet a lot is when they will know. And we will be sending you enough material where children can read and can identify the difference. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, some parents have asked if the same thing like whatever philosophy we have shared today can be used for other language, please do the same thing for all other languages. For example, in Hindi, instead of saying, what is the first sound you hear, we will say, जब हम कैंची कहते हैं तो उसमें हम पहली ध्वनि क्या सुनते हैं? And the child will say कैंची. All right? So the same thing, whatever your command is in English, the same thing can be given in Hindi, in Telugu, in French, in Spanish, whichever language you want your child to pick up at this point. You can use it for every other language. Okay? So Sonal and Asim, Izzat, I think your questions have been resolved with what I've just said. So along with sandpaper material, can we get recorded audio of the phonetic sound? Yes, we will be sending you the recording of today's session. We will also be sending you a link which has all the letters, where you click the letter, you can hear the sound. But like I said earlier, please use this only for your own learning and understanding. Do not make your child sit in front of the laptop or the phone and just give it, it's an easy way out, I know, but it's not what we want. So you can use that. Yes, the I Spy, all 9 stages have already been mailed to most of you. If it is not, it's been sent on WhatsApp. If it is not, then it will be sent either next week. Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Hi, Munira. This is
Hi.
Carmen here.
Hi, Carmen.
Yeah. So from the session, what I understand is that it's the sound. So when I do the S sounds, right? That is spoon, sweet, right? And when Kavir says cycle, it's correct, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I'm looking at the spelling and I was like, I'm not too sure.
So this is a paradigm shift for us adults. We have to start listening to the sounds. We have to stop listening to the spelling.
Okay.
Our intellectual mind is only going to tell us that, okay, the spelling is wrong, the spelling is wrong. But listen to the sounds. If the sounds are correct, then your child has got it.
Correct. So we were doing this. We were identifying the sound that starts with, and he said cycle. I was not sure whether it's correct or not.
No, it is absolutely correct. It's absolutely correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? We can wait for 1 more minute and then we will close the session.
Hi Munira, Prasanna here
Hi
once again.
Prasanna. Yes.
Yeah, actually, my kids are like more, they speak in the local language, Telugu, and from past 2 weeks or so, I started speaking to them totally in English. So they are like, kind of understanding what I'm trying to say, but still they say in Telugu like, what is this? They want me to tell what I just said in Telugu. So should I do that or continue speaking in English only?
Yeah. So one problem with translation is that your children will never try to learn the new language.
Okay.
And with both of them, they now know that, okay, Mama knows Telugu. Then, I'm just assuming Telugu, but your native language.
Telugu,
so Mama knows Telugu. So why should I learn English? So if you're not translating, that is where they are motivated to learn the new language. So you may have to say 10 times. You may have to give the command in different ways. Like you can give gestures. Like you can say, I want water. Can you get me a glass of water? So you can use gestures to point out and to help them identify and associate the words and the objects. But you will have to do a lot of vocabulary enrichment before you can actually do the sound analysis in English. Because their vocabulary in English has to be strengthened. So the prerequisite for sound analysis is the vocabulary enrichment. What you can still do right now is do a lot of I Spy in Telugu. So their sound, the capacity to analyze sounds is already developing. We are not losing out on that power. Because They can identify sounds, they can analyze sounds. That is what we want to build in them. Which language, we are not concerned. But because the medium of instruction in school is English, and English is something that they will be learning all other subjects through. That is the reason we start off with English, then we give Hindi and Telugu. That is the level. That's how we move in school.
Yeah, Munira, one more question.
Yes,
I mean, is it okay if I speak in English for half of the day, and I mean, they like requesting, Amma, please speak in English for some time, at least for speak 2 words or 2 sentences in Telugu, something like that.
Yeah. So in the same time, try not to switch the languages.
Okay.
For example, if you have decided that every meal time you're going to speak in English,
Okay.
then every meal time is only English, then you don't do translation at that time.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so you can decide on how much time, and then you can probably switch completely to English. But if you're uncomfortable with that, then you can always do these sessions in English, which is absolutely fine.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Munira.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, so great. Thank you so much for your amazing participation in today's session. It is really overwhelming to see so many of y'all present at this hour. And thank you for being there. It really shows your commitment for your child and for really understanding the work that we intend to do with them. So thank you. I'm sure with your support, your children will really do wonders with phonetic analysis. And for any questions, anything that you are struggling with, anything that you find challenging, please reach out to us, and myself and my entire team is here to support you. All right. So all the very best with sound analysis, and we really hope you have a lot of fun with it with your children. Good evening. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.